Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. D.V. Prasad from Indira Gandhi National Tribal University, Amarkantak. Today we will discuss the module Backward Caste and Scheduled Caste from paper Indian Anthropology. Let us see what we are going to learn from this module. We are able to describe caste after reading this module. We will also describe the term backward caste and scheduled caste. Further, we will discuss about the composition and characteristics of backward caste, and also we will discuss about Dalits. Caste is a root base of Indian social system. Some scholars see India's caste system as a defining feature of Indian culture. The Constitution of India recognizes three categories of backward segments of Indian society, that is, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and other backward classes. This categorization of first two has been listed from the beginning. The third segment, that is, other backward classes, carried a lot of ambiguity, but it was generally assumed that this category of OBCs include the whole middle bands of caste. In simpler terms, the popular terms, the edge forwards are the Dvija caste, like the Brahmins and Kshatriyas. But Kayasthas, Vaids, and Nayars have also joined this division on the strength of their economic, political, and bureaucratic power. The Pichhade means backward or lower caste other than untouchables, who do not exercise control over sources of power, political, social, and economic. The framers of the constitution, instead of using the term caste, the term classes for this segment of backward population. Under Article 341 of the Constitution, certain backward caste communities suffering from untouchability and other social disabilities were declared as scheduled castes. Economically, social, and educationally, all these castes are at the lowest rung of society. In the past, education among them was rare, but now the position has considerably improved. There is an urge among them for getting education at all levels. Until 1985, the affairs of the backward classes were looked after by the Backward Classes Cell in the Ministry of Home Affairs. Other backward classes are described as socially, educationally backward classes, and the government is enjoined to ensure their social educational development. The central government of India classifies some of its citizens based on their social and economic conditions as scheduled caste. Scheduled tribes and other backward class. The OBC list presented by the Commission is dynamic. Castes and communities can be added or removed and will change from time to time depending on social, educational, and economic factors. According to Herbert Risley, caste is defined as caste is a collection of families bearing a common name, claiming a common descent from a mythical ancestor, human or divine, professing to follow the same hereditary callings and regarded by those who are competent to give an opinion as a forming a single homogeneous community. Concept of backward caste. The backward communities in India have been divided into three broad divisions: scheduled caste, that is SC, scheduled tribes, that is ST, and other backward class, that is OBC. The term backward classes have been used in terms of the weaker sections of the society. The framers of constitution, instead of using the term caste, applied the term classes for this segment of backward population. There are many reasons for this. The first one is that they followed the old historical process where the term depressed classes was used even for the untouchable caste, now scheduled caste. Secondly, the word caste sounded obscuranist and outdated and torch bearers of modern India. Thirdly, the usage might have created problems with the placement of the non-Hindu counterparts of other backward castes in the list. Earlier, the term depressed classes was used for the untouchables and other backward groups. As a matter of fact, the backward classes are above the so-called untouchables groups and below the twice born caste. In terms of criteria of caste, the backward classes would comprise intermediate agriculture and functionary castes. Andrew Bitley considered peasant castes the core of the backward classes. The scheduled castes and tribes and other backward classes, their population as given in the following table. Scheduled castes constitute 16.8% of the total Indian population, and scheduled tribes constitute 8%, and other backward classes are 27%. Scheduled tribes. Ralph Linton defined tribe as an in its simplest form. The tribe is a group of bands occupying a contiguous territory or territories and having a feeling of unity deriving from numerous similarities in culture, frequent contacts, and a certain community of interest. According to D.N. Majumdar, tribe defined as the territorial affiliation, endogamous, no specialization of function, ruled by tribal officers. These are all some of the characteristics of tribe. They are having common language, distance with other tribes or castes, specific beliefs and customs, conscious of homogeneity, illiberal of naturalization of ideas. Criteria. The following criteria is based on attributes for the tribe. There are four criteria adopted for defining tribe. They are mainly geographical isolation, backwardness, distinctive culture, language, and religion, shyness of contact. First, geographical isolation. They live in clustered, exclusive, remote, and inhospitable areas such as hills and forests. Then comes to backwardness, their livelihood is based on primitive agriculture, a low valued closed economy with a low level of technology that leads to their poverty. They have low levels of literacy and health. Third, distinctive culture, language, and religion. Communities have developed their own distinctive culture, language, and religion. Further, shyness of contact. They have a marginal degree of contact with the other cultures and people. Social institution among Indian tribes. Social institution among Indian tribes are basically divided into two. They are marriage and family. Marriage is subdivided into monogamy and polygamy. The example of monogamy are Kamar from Madhya Pradesh. The examples of polygamy, Naga tribe, the Gond. In family, there are two types, that is simple or nuclear family, extended or joint family. Economic activities. These are the some of the economic activities of the Indian tribes. They are food gatherer and hunter, shifting cultivation, cultivators, pastoralists, artisan, and industrial labor. Other backward classes. On 26th November 1949, our constitution was enacted. The first backward class commission was appointed on 29 January 1953 by the presidential order under Article 340 of the Constitution of India. with Kaka Kalekar as the chairperson. Criteria: the Commission has formulated the following criteria for socially and educationally backward classes. They are: low social position in the traditional caste hierarchy of Hindu society, lack of general education advancement among the major sections of a caste or community, inadequate representation in the field of trade, commerce, and industry. The new commission, the second backward classes commission, is popularly called as Mandal Commission. Its chairperson was B.P. Mandal, who was appointed by Presidential Order under Article 40 of the Constitution on 20th December 1978. You can see the picture of the B.P. Mandal, who is the chairman of Mandal Commission. Indicators. Indicators for social and educational backwardness are social, educational, and economic. When it comes to first social, castes are classes considered as socially backward by other. Number two, castes are classes which mainly depend on manual labor for their livelihood. Third, castes are classes where at least 25% females and 10% males above the state average get married at an age of below 17 years in rural areas, and at least 10% females and 5% males do so in urban areas. Castes and classes where participation of females in work is at least 25% above the state average. Another indicator is educational criteria. Castes are classes where the number of children in age group of 5 to 15 years who never attended school is at least 25% above the state average. Then, castes and classes where the rate of student dropout in the age group of 5 to 15 years is at least 25% above the state average. Castes and classes among the whom the proportion of matriculates is at least 25% below the state average. Another criteria was economic. In this, class and classes where the average value of a family assets is at least 25% below the state average. Castes and classes where the number of families living in kacha houses is at least 25% above the state average. Castes and classes where the source of drinking water is beyond half a kilometer for more than 50% of the household. Caste and classes where the number of households having taken consumption loan is at 25% above the state average. Identification of socially and educationally backward classes. On the analysis of judicial decisions, the Indian Law Institute noted the following points relevant to identification of SEBCs. In the matter of their backwardness, the SEBCs are comparable to SCs and STs. Backwardness must be both social and educational. Relevance of both caste and poverty for determining the backwardness. The occupation which is looked down upon as inferior or unclean and the places of habitation may contribute to social backwardness. Occupational subclassification of the OBCs. The working group divide into the following 5 occupational subcategories. They are castes and communities of poor peasantry, including poor peasantry of former zamindar. Second one, castes are communities providing traditional services, that is hair cutting, grooming, washing of clothes, scavenging, etc. Castes and communities of artisanal producer. Artisan castes and communities with the traditional skills engaged in various traditional crafts, providing a variety of goods at family. Communities without resources or skills. Development and empowerment. There, Objective and elements of development and empowerment as indicated by WG are: number 1, removal of social backwardness; number 2, creation of educational parity at each stage, phase and course of education; number 3, removal of economic underdevelopment, dependency, inadequacy and exploitation. Process and approach of empowerment. Empowerment, according to WG, has two aspects: the outcome and process. The outcome would consist of realization of the objective. The process consists of the role to be accorded to the groups of the OBC communities in conceptualizing, formulating, planning, designing, implementing, supervising. The term scheduled caste has been in vogue for about a half a century. The term appeared first time in the Government of India Act 1935. In April 1936, the British government issued a Government of India Scheduled Caste Order 1936, specifying certain castes and tribes as a scheduled caste. Prior to the term, prior to them were known as depressed classes. The depressed classes systematically categorized in 1931 census. After this, the list is notified by the President in accordance with the provisions of the Article 341 of the Constitution. Under the Article 341 of the Constitution, certain backward castes, communities suffering from untouchability and other social disabilities were included in scheduled castes. 1931 census used 10 questions to define scheduled castes and use questionnaire to find out whether the caste is scheduled or not. This questionnaire is based upon the practice of untouchability, practice of discrimination. It has following questions. Number 1, whether the caste or class is being served by Brahmins of the area. Number 2, whether the members of the caste is served by washermen, barber, blacksmiths, etc. Number 3, whether the presence of or touch of any member from his caste group causes pollution in the other caste. Whether the members of class or caste group are debarred from using any public places, public convenience. Whether the members of this caste denied entry into Hindu temples. Whether the members of this caste could carry out normal and regular social relationship with the members of high caste, or these issues arise due to the ignorance, poverty and literacy. If the factor of ignorance, poverty, illiteracy were to be removed for the members to overcome their social disability, whether the depression, social discrimination arises on account of occupation of the group, is members of the group continue to be socially discriminated even after not being in that occupation. This group is listed as scheduled group. Scheduled castes are the groups which have suffered from this in the past, or suffering from this kind of discrimination and prejudice even today. And also, we use the term Dalit as a social category to identify these groups. Some of the characteristics of the lower caste, Harijan, a scheduled caste. They are within the outside the caste system, even their shadow considered as impure and also considered as bad luck. They touch unclean things, are polluted, so considered as polluted. They are not admitted to temples, etc. In the 20th century, Mahatma Gandhi, for referring to Dalits, traditionally considered to be untouchables, he tried to convince the Hindus to allow Harijans in temples. Gandhiji named them Harijans, where Hari means God, Jan means people. Thus, Harijan means people of God. The word Dalit may be derived from Sanskrit and means ground, suppressed, crushed, or broken. Dalits make up 16.6 of India's population, or 201 million, according to the 2011 census. The Government of India designates Dalits as scheduled castes. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, born as an untouchable, he used the term scheduled caste. Consider Harijan word meaningless. The Constitution legally abolished untouchability and included safeguards for depressed minorities. Discrimination in education. According to a 2014 report by the Indian Government Research Institute, Dalits constitute nearly half of primary school dropouts. In Karnataka state, 48% of school dropouts are Dalits. Among state schools, 88% discriminated against Dalit children, while 79% required Dalit students to sit in the back of the classroom. In 79% of the schools, Dalit children are forbidden from touching midday meals. They are required to sit separately at lunch in 35% of the schools and are required to eat with specially marked plates in 28%. In high schools, higher caste students are often advised not to mingle with Dalits. There have been incidents of Dalit teachers and professors being discriminated against and harassed by authorities. Healthcare and nutrition. Discrimination also exists in access to healthcare and nutrition. Medical field workers do not visit 65% of the Dalit settlements. 47% of Dalits are not allowed entry into ration depots, and 64% are given less grain than non Dalits, and 52% are given grains from a distance. Prevention of Atrocities Act. In the 1989 Prevention of Atrocities Act is an acknowledgement by the Indian government that caste relations are defined by violence. The Act denoted specific crimes against scheduled castes and scheduled tribes as atrocities and created corresponding punishments. Its purpose was to curb and punish violence against Dalits. The Act called on states with high levels of caste violence, socio-economic problems. The main socio-economic problems affecting the bulk of scheduled caste population are like chronic indebtedness, land alienation, landlessness, lack of education, lack of productive assets, forced labor and prostitution, lack of minimum wages, and child labor. Steps taken by the government to improve scheduled castes. They are mainly categorized into three, that is, protective arrangements, affirmative action, development. Protective arrangements, such as measures, are required to enforce equality, to provide punitive measures for transgressions, to eliminate established practices that perpetuate inequalities. In affirmative action, it provides positive treatment in allotment of jobs and access to higher education as a means to accelerate the integration of the SCs and STs with the mainstream society. Affirmative action is popularly known as reservation. Development, it provides resources and benefits to bridge the socio-economic gap between scheduled castes and scheduled tribes and other communities. Let us summarize what we have learned in this module. The term backward classes have been used in terms of the weaker sections of the society. Framers of the Constitution, instead of using the term caste, applied the term classes. The first backward class commission was appointed on 29 January 1953 by presidential order under Article 340 of the Constitution of India, with Kaka Khalilkar as the chairman. The commission formulated the following criteria for socially, educationally backward classes. The position in the traditional caste hierarchy of Hindu society, lack of general educational advancement among the major sections of the caste, inadequate representation in the field of trade, commerce, and industry. The second backward classes commission is popularly called as Mandal Commission. Its chairman was B.P. Mandal. In this commission, there were 11 indicators or the criteria for social and educational backwardness were derived under three heads, that is, social, educational, and economic. Identification of socially and educationally backward castes, that is known as SEBCs, comparable to SCs and STs. And backwardness must be both social and educational. Development and empowerment. The objective and elements of development and empowerment as indicated by WGR. Number 1, the removal of social backwardness. Number 2, creation of educational parity. Number 3, removal of economic underdevelopment, dependency, inadequacy, and exploitation. The process and approach of empowerment. Empowerment, according to WG, has two aspects, the outcome and the process. Thank you.